So those of you who are listening, please like,
tag, and share this
conversation.
Get your family, your friends, your blood cousins, and everybody involved. Let them know that Straight Talk is on.
And it's time to have some real conversation on the matter. Before we get started, running out of the studio. Before we get started, I was going to give you guys an opportunity to give my Robfather, my main man, the Robfather, an opportunity to give us a shout out. Rob, say what's up to the people.
What's up, Straight Talk audience? And I have a protege here. It's going to be taking over next week when I'm on vacation.
Who is this masked man?
You know who he is.
You know who he
Jonathan
is.
Dent here. Those of you who listen into our weekly show over on WSGW, United Shades of Gray, might recognize me. I'm producer for Kareem over there. Good to be here. Good to be ready to take over for Rob when he's gone next week.
All right, so we got John and the Robfather in the house on
this evening.
Good evening to all of you that are coming in. Stacy Crosby, you are number one in the
social stream on today. Excuse me, I forgot to take off my sexy specs.
But we're good now. So all of you guys, hopefully you can now
concentrate because I've taken off the glasses.
And it's just me. But I want us to get in and talk about a few things
real quick so that I can give ample time to what's going on.
You know how I start off. I always want to talk about
what's on my mind. All right, let's talk about what's on my mind.
The Heart of the City Awards
are taking place.
They're coming up
June the 9th at 6 p.m. at the Horizons Conference Center. Now,
if you're not aware of what the Heart of the City
Awards are, the Heart of the City Awards is an awards program put on by the Michigan Banner and the Saginaw Community Foundation. Shout out to Renee Johnston and Jerome Buckley. The doors open at 5 p.m. I think 5:30. They say music is starting. There are 2 live bands that are taking place, and this is to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Michigan Banner. Okay.
Also happening that evening,
in addition to awards and acknowledgments, there will be I don't want to say star-studded crowd.
Saginaw's crowd.
Folks from Saginaw that you know so well, leaders in the community. Also, there will be a Ray Lynn scholarship that is Mr. Buckley's deceased wife. All of this will be taking place. There's a scholarship award that will be taking place for that.
And also, yours truly will be receiving what I am told is the Visionary Award. So those of you who are out there and you like to get dressed up, get gussied up, and have somewhere to go, because most of you have been locked down for about 3 good years. Go in your closet, pull something out nice and fancy, because this is a black tie. I think it's formal, semi-formal affair. And so we want you to get out there. Tickets are just a simple $100, or tables. I think you can get, if you buy a table, the tickets are reduced, I think, by $20 or so. Make sure that you get on, contact the Saginaw Community Foundation or the Michigan Banner, and get more information concerning that, or you can shoot a question or whatever you have out there. Shoot it directly to me, and we'll talk about it a little bit. All right, so there'll be more coming on that as we begin to move forward, okay? So Heart of the City Awards coming up, the Visionary Award, Kareem Bowen from Straight Talk. All right, but let's keep moving. On another note, we have John that's in the house today. John, didn't know you were going to be with us today. Rob, you're going to be taking a vacation is what's going on. What's going on?
That's not really a vacation. I'm going to see my one and only pride and joy, my wonderful son, G. He lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And so it's been a while since I've seen him. So he's flying his dad out there for Father's Day and to celebrate my birthday. So I'm
Rob, what's your birthday?
It was this past May 11th. But
May 11th. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Like, Rob, what's your birthday? Like a little bit ago. But you're going out to see your son. I'm gonna tell you, Rob is one of the hardest men, working men at Kiss 107. You hardly ever take a day off, and so for you to be out, I'm glad you're getting out, going to the Purple Passion City.
Yes.
Hopefully, you get a chance to go see Prince's museum. But I'm excited. So what are you excited about most coming to see your son? It's been a minute.
My son, period. He said, Dad, I got things lined up for you, but Sunday, the day before we go back home, I got a game. Do you mind? I said, anytime I spend with you, it's a blessing to me, because it's been almost 2 years since I've seen him.
Wow.
So whatever we're going to do out there, I'll just be happy. Even if we sat at home, just play chess, or just look at TV, I'll be happy just to be with him.
Well, I'm excited that you're getting out and getting this opportunity.
If you knew my son, I don't think you ever met him, but if you knew him, you would know why. You know, I'm so proud of the way I am.
All right, I hear he is a great young man, and I love to hear you talk about him because your heart begins to melt, and you can see how much you admire him as a young man. So that's great to hear.
He's my heart, yes.
Awesome. But we are going to have in his stead John B, as he is referred to. He's going to be sitting in. John, you're going to be with me next week for Straight Talk.
Absolutely.
But what I'm excited about is we got the news coming up that United Shades of Grey, which is a show that shows on 790 AM and 100.5 FM, is going to be expanding its reach. We are now going to the Chicago market. Hey, here we come, Chi-Town. The show will be now also airing on 1340 AM on WJOL in Joliet, Illinois. So I got the right, Joliet,
I think.
Joliet. That's, you're right. Joliet, Illinois, United Shades of Grey. It will still air same time as always here for those of you listening in the Saginaw area. And so we just want you guys to just continually pray for us and listen in as we have those great conversations. Now, as the world should have been mourning on May 28th, not mourning, but really paying tribute and really just thinking about what took place on May 28th, 2 years ago, and I'm referring to the death of George Floyd. We should have been looking at and studying, how have we been impacted? How has life changed? What has been the change that we have seen in this nation as it relates to the social issues and the social justices, as well as police reform? Instead, we cannot get away from murder, violence, and the like. And so on this past week, instead of really taking in and looking at what was taking place and how we've come since George Floyd's senseless murder on May 28th, we are now sitting here and we are looking at what took place with Uvalde, the Texas massacre down just north of the border here. 19 students and 2 adults were murdered during that time. Such a senseless act. Now, this is the crazy thing, that the truth is being revealed, Rob. And I don't want to make it sound like a cover-up, but it looks like there was a cover-up that is now coming to surface. So not only are we having to deal with the loss of life, now we're having to deal with the impacted burden of what really took place. And I could imagine for parents who lost lives or family members who lost loved ones in this murder, this is really hard to bear. So the truth is coming out, Rob. What are you thinking?
Well, it's hard to bear as any parent. Like, I'm a parent, my heart goes out to the people out there, and having lived through Sandy Hook and other schools in the area in Michigan and throughout the United States, my heart goes out to all that, because that could have been my son or some child or nephew, niece that I knew. As far as the cover-up thing, I'm holding the jury out on that, because some of the sheriffs or some of the police responders there had family members in that situation too, who were either directly involved as victims or indirectly involved. So while I don't like the whole hour wait thing, whatnot, and we still want to see what's going on with it, I'm just going to reserve judgment to a point to see what's going on, because they could have got there a lot faster, but we don't know all the details. Things are still, being unwrapped.
Rob, Rob, I appreciate that. There you go, being a good man, Rob.
I'm a half glass full guy.
Well, okay, I'm not half full, but I think that you should call a spade a spade. Whatever we have, and it wasn't like they didn't show up.
I had the facts. I had all the facts. I don't have all the
facts.
Well,
I'll tell you what's been reported. So if the governor is cool with the facts, the governor of Texas is cool and said that he was hoodwinked and he was lied to about the facts, and I feel okay with having the same conversation. So what we've come to know is that, yes, they arrived on the scene. As a matter of fact, I was trying to figure out what took so long, because there appeared to be somewhat of a chase. I don't know if it was a high-speed chase from where he killed his grandmother to where he crashed his car. And I was asking, why did they get there? Why did it take them so long before they could get to the location of this school massacre, to the school? Now we're finding out that they were actually there for about an hour. I don't know about most of you all that are out there, but I'm calling for somebody. I want heads to roll on this one. I'm sorry, Rob. But this is we do so much, and we always want to say, it's not everyone. It's not everyone. Our officers, our police officers, are here to protect and serve, and I'm sure many of them do their job without incident. But there is a culture that is growing that we really need to redefine. And I'm not going to say this is a police fault, but honestly, when you take the job, you kind of know what it's about. You kind of know that, as a kid, when I was growing up, we played, which is probably offensive at this day and age, but we played Cowboys and Indians. And in that period of time, while we were playing Cowboys and Indians, there were the good cops and the bad cops. And, you're bang, what did you play? You play with guns. You bang, shoot them up. You understand that this is a part of the job. It comes with the territory, right? So as we begin to have this conversation, it's important for us to understand that this is your duty, this is your responsibility, and I know that no police officer, it's called, you're not supposed to just go in and run into harm's way, but understanding that this is an elementary school, this is different than, Tops grocery store even, where there are adults mostly in there during school time. This is an incident where you know who the intended victims are. It's an elementary school full of kids that probably range anywhere from 5 to 12 years old. 13, 14 might be going to 7, 8 middle school or whatever. So this is the targeted population. We understand who this is. And I'm sorry, I would be ready to turn in my badge if I'm sitting there knowing that someone who has an assault rifle, who has already committed a murder that they were then aware of, is, on the loose in a school. There is no way in the world that I can justify waiting an additional hour before I move in to begin to execute it to take out this threat. Rob, I know you want to be nice, but I think the head should roll for this one.
No, I'm not being nice. I'm being based on the facts that I see, based on my perception of the reality of the whole thing. As I said, the jury, in my mind, is still out on it. I don't want to be nice at all.
What is the jury waiting for?
All the facts to be put in place to put. Things are changing as we speak. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
For what I understand, okay? I'm not ready to just sign a dotted line. Let's just bring the whole police department. I'm not ready to do that yet because things change. So I'm willing to give certain things a little leeway to see what.
John, this is going to determine if you are here for next week or not. No. John, what are you thinking?
Well, I think the biggest. I think with what you're saying, that heads should roll. There should be some kind of action. You have to understand. After the Parkland shooting a few years ago,
absolutely.
Where some officers hesitated slightly before going in, a federal judge ruled that police have no duty to enter into an active shooter situation.
No responsibility.
No responsibility.
No accountability to do so.
No, they have no obligation to go in and protect people in the event of an active shooter situation.
I get that.
I think it's ridiculous.
I think it's ridiculous because you know what you signed up for when it happened.
Yep.
So
I'll just be clear. I'm not arguing that. I'll just dispute that. I'm just saying that in my perception. Okay, I'm not.
Rob, you won't be here next week. You're fired for next week. Okay, I just want you to know that.
I'm just saying in my perception. Okay, for right now, I agree with what you're saying here, but I said let's just learn a little bit more about that.
Rob, we've been waiting. Keeping in mind what has been going on. Okay, just in the same area, there were 26 people who were killed in a massacre that happened at a church.
Right.
We are just 9 days away from seeing a massacre that took place at a grocery store in Buffalo.
Right.
I mean, how many times does this have to happen? Either they didn't rush they weren't taking their time or thinking, what if they had waited an hour before they put their knee on George Floyd's neck? So if we are going to take action, then we should be willing to take action, at least against the threat with someone who has a an AR-15. And we're going to have that conversation. We're going to get into this because I want to talk in this first portion of the show. I want to take a little time to talk about what I consider and what I'm coining. So if anybody else says this, tell them to pay me. America's massacre culture. I don't think anyone's fighting to take that one. But understanding gun ownership in America, it is not a simple act. And so I want to talk a little bit about what's going on, because at the end of the day, yes, we have a problem. We have a number of people in our community that experience it. We saw that in Buffalo, right? And then we do have a mental health issue. I think all of America is suffering from some form of mental health from one degree or the next issues. But those are not the only issues. We have a violence issue. But the fact of the matter comes down to this. Most of what we're seeing take place, and a number of the things that are taking place with what weapon of choice?
Assault rifles.
Handguns. Guns. America has more guns than we have Americans. I think they were saying something like there's 398 million guns in this country.
A gun for every
And those, I mean, there's 329 million, 330 million Americans. So guns outweigh Americans by 60 million. And so that's a problem. And this is the thing that's really crazy is that those are the ones that are documented. What about all of the illegal guns that are in this country? What about the guns that are on the street that aren't assigned to anybody? So as much as I love my 357 revolver, Smith & Wesson, as much as I love taking my 9mm out, as much as because I go to the range and I shoot with these things. And now we're living in a culture that we're seeing that the increase in the rush and the growth of handguns in America is becoming more popular. And we're going to talk about that stand your ground piece because that has a lot to do with what's taking place. People are not feeling safe in America. And one of the fundamental pieces of any government is that they're supposed to protect and help their citizens feel safe. I don't see it happening. There's something going on, and we got to have a conversation about it. Now, Rob, you were in the military, so I want to use you for just a second.
Oh,
so when we talk about AR-15s, I'm going to talk about things that you're aware of. So when we talk about AR-15s, and you're much more of a gun aficionado than I probably am, but you're aware. Yeah. These are things that you've dealt with, you've handled. What types of things, did everyone carry an AR-15?
No.
When were you carrying AR-15s?
Well, I wouldn't be in my rank or my rating because I was in the Navy, and I would have to be in the SEAL team.
You wouldn't want to shoot the AR-15 on the ship, I guess.
I don't think. Well, SEAL teams are Navy,
absolutely.
So I don't think they carry them. I think it's a different type of rifle. I don't know the exact nomenclature, but I think
they're assault rifles.
They're assault rifles. So yes, because that's part of the job. I've learned to handle particular rifles for pistols, rifles, but not assault rifles of that sort. For general sentry duty, things of that sort, or burial details, or if we have to, if the ship was taken over, whatever it is, I'm on a reaction team. Those are the weapons I have to use, but we never used assault rifles when I was on the ship or in shore duty. Whereas Marine Corps people would do that, Army people would do that sort of thing. But again, I don't know the proper nomenclature. I don't know if it's called AR-15 or what it is, but that's what it was. But we trained to train on how to properly use those weapons and when to use them, because the last resort is you don't whip out your service revolver or service rifle and shoot something. You investigate the scene and whatnot, and then if necessary, unless you're being shot at, you can fire your weapon.
What is an assault rifle used for? Kind of securely.
Your word is assault.
Assault. And this is not
defensive action.
Okay. And when you use handguns, we're talking about handguns. We're looking at a more close encounter combat. We're looking, I think that they were saying something like 20 meters or something like that is kind of where you pull out your handgun, 20 to 40 meters. And, when you get licensed and you're in there shooting, they show you how to shoot and they tell you about the distance. So when we talk about assault rifles, this is stuff that you use in combat. These are things that when you're taking out other snipers, you're shooting a distance. They're usually, what are the things on there? I can't think the lenses, I can't think of the name of it right now, but you look through them and they give you the sights. Yeah. So you have sights on them so that you can zero in on your target. The purpose of this type of weaponry is destruction. It is destruction of a target, of an enemy. And so here we have these types of guns.
Or a warning shot, because snipers are trained to give warning shots in some aspects, if they have to. And some of them can go as far as a half mile or more, depending on the bullet and the type of gun,
So my thought exactly, Rob. So why are we, as a nation, and it's funny because we have probably little under half of America saying that they don't want any change to our gun laws. I would have to say that a large portion of that population have to be Republicans, and I couldn't make this stuff up. We are divided as a nation down political lines, Republican/Democrat independents, right down the middle in terms of what should happen. So this is what I say. When we see these things that are taking place, the only way that you're going to begin to see any change, the only way that you're ever going to make a difference is to not only abolish those guns, but you got to begin to make your vote count. And I'm not trying to make an assault on the Republican parties. Like I told you, I don't consider myself Republican or Democrat. I'm independent thinker. But the fact of the matter is, if there's an entire party that says it's okay that every now and then we have assaults on high school students, it's okay that every now and then we have senior citizens getting killed while they're out getting groceries and their medication, it's okay
that someone can break into an elementary school and use these guns to kill people. And to me, if you don't change things, that's exactly what you're saying, Rob.
The argument is it's not so much the type of rifle that you have in your possession, but the laws behind getting it and holding it. Because there are people who are gun aficionados who have all kinds of guns in the world, plastic or what have you. But are we authorized, or should we be authorized on the streets to carry a weapon inside a grocery store or a movie theater just for quote unquote protection?
This is where I differ.
And when you lax the rules of that sort of thing, as Texas have done, as the Governor Abbott has done, signed these things into law, then you have things like this happen, and then you go into the default mode. We blame it on mental health. We blame it on.
And it's not enough. There's a culture. We have an anger problem here in this nation. But when you look at us being the leading nation, we are supposed to be the leading and democratic nations in the civilized world. Well, and there are no other countries that we consider civilized nations that are anywhere near where we are as it relates to this particular issue on gun violence and gun control. As a matter of fact, there were other nations that had similar problems. And guess what they did? They changed the laws. When we look at where Great Britain was, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, all of those nations had issues with massacres and gun violence. And what did they do? They changed the laws. They go ahead, Rob.
So to quote Donald Trump, we are the sugar honey iced tea country that he talked about. We have become that which he talked about. And I'm sorry, as a patriot, I have to say that, but it is what it is.
I'm not sure what that means, Rob, even what you were trying to say. Excuse me. Enlighten me.
That whole country that Donald Trump mentioned that he was against.
Okay.
We have become that which we have accused other countries of being.
Okay. I want to give you guys a few statistics out there for those of you out there. I see Jeffrey Bulls who says abolish bad investment. Good evening, everyone else that's out there. We're so glad that you guys are out here. I want to give you guys some quick statistics, okay? This is from a Gallup poll of 2020, September 30th through October 15th, 2020. It says, as is typical, the rate of personal gun ownership varies most by political party and ideology, gender, race, ethnicity, region, and urbanicity. I didn't even know that was a word. With smaller differences seen by household incomes and marital status. Okay, these are the differences. It says that Republicans, 50% of these Republicans, and I think that they had a survey group of about 1,000 individuals, 50% rural residents, 48% men, 45% self-identified conservatives, 45%, and Southerners, 40%, are the most likely subgroups to say they personally own a gun. Those numbers, Republicans, 50%. So there's half of those individuals that they surveyed out of the 1,000 people who identify as Republicans, 50% said that they own guns, that Republicans. When you look at rural residents, 48%. Men, 45%. What is also quite interesting is that when you look at those top three groups, those three groups across the board are the three groups that tend to be more involved in terms of owning guns. In terms of liberals, it said liberals, 15% of liberals said that they own guns. Democrats, 18%. Non-white Americans, 18%. Women, 19%. And Eastern residents, 21%. Some of those women probably need to get their numbers up with what's happening in this world in terms of you being able to train and use a gun for your protection. One of the things I'm going to tell you, and my family will also agree to this, and those who know me, I'm not a violent person by any means. As a matter of fact, I think that gun violence is when you pull your gun out, you have to be prepared to shoot it. Because guns have the potential, when you shoot a gun, it has the potential to kill somebody every single time. And I don't think many of us are aware of that. And most often when a person pulls a gun and they don't use it, they usually are killed by their own gun, Rob. So I think that for me personally, and me as a personal pronoun, but when I personally look at this, I got a gun. It wasn't even about protection for the home. I got a gun because I enjoy shooting. And they say that when most people are exposed to guns as a young person, they tend to be okay with having guns because I was taught how to load a gun, how to clear the barrel. We were shooting shotguns probably when we were 12 and 13, knocking out cans, shooting squirrel, that kind of thing in the backyard. Because I grew up in the country. And so guns was a part of the culture. So I get where rural America says, hey, we love our guns. It was a great part of what we did. As we got older, my uncle Leon used to go out, this white dude named Nick, and this is funny. And they would go out and they would bring back deer and things of that nature. I have bear meat and raccoon meat because my family
We were, I don't know. Now it sounds like we're country bumpkins, but we really weren't that country. We just grew up in rural America. And so we enjoyed those types of things, and we enjoyed hunting. When I got older, I began to understand, as I go out, like, people are crazy. You start seeing a couple of these massacres, and you see how people are just caught off guard in their regular scope of the day. You then have to say, look, I could either be, as we were talking once before about these no gun zones. I can either be a victim or I can have this opportunity to protect myself. What I'm saying is this: there are certain types of guns that should not be allowed for sale to everyday citizens. And then I also believe that there's gun back. How can you be against background checks? How can you be willing to sell guns to people who aren't even allowed to buy alcohol? Like, I don't understand that, Rob. And so I think that we have to have a really strong conversation. You gotta take your ballot, take your vote to the ballot, and make your stake your claim. Jeffrey Bulls. Another issue has been the intentional misinterpretation of the Second Amendment. Ooh, Jeffrey Bulls, that is a whole nother conversation in and of itself, because I was talking with some law professors, and they were saying how these black individuals had gotten these guns. This is a long time ago, and they claimed that the reason that they were going to have these guns was they had a right to bear arms according to the Second Amendment. And they were told by the U.S. Supreme Court that is not what that meant. So we're going to bring those attorneys in, and we'll have that real conversation about what it means and what's happening. We're going to take a quick commercial break. I had to get those things off of my chest, because if you know what, I would just explode if I didn't have you all here to help release some of the tension. When we come back, we're going to share a little bit about this Juneteenth celebration that's going to come on. I have the curators of this great moment. Listen, Saginaw, keep your family involved. Tell Junebug and Ray right now to tune in to the radio station, because we're going to talk about Black culture and Black history as we celebrate Juneteenth. Stick and stay. Don't go away.
Kiss 107.1. At Carlton Elementary, we believe that small class sizes
You're going to kill me. Rob, you turned my headphones off too high.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mean to. Sorry. We have a problem with the computer here, so I'm trying to do some tricks on here to get things to play. Just have your guests come in now and get set up.
I'm gonna head out. My dad just texted me.
Okay. So you got to turn around here then.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you so much.
Got any questions? Let me know.
Ray, what did you say? Ray.
Huh?
You said Ray. And Boom.
You know who Ray and Jubug is. How you ladies doing?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a tall order. Where are we going to find all of that?
I think we need to check out Carlton Schools.
Hi, this is Tiffany Peterson from Carlton Public Schools. Schools are
It's
that
so
location are being accepted June 1st through June 15th.
Oh,
Visit
it's cool, guys.
1475 or visit chooscarlton.org.
Straight Talk Wireless now is the new iPhone.
Hey, Rob, can we change that to them?
What matters. And with Straight Talk, you can focus on getting the best deal.
Okay, ladies, that will be your camera. See that? That's your camera. Okay. So you may just want to turn your seat just a little bit. There you go. All right. Remember your camera's that way.
15 seconds, stand by.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kareem Bowen. For those of you who are just tuning in, you are tuning into the second half of Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. I'm so glad to have you. I have some wonderful, beautiful young ladies in the studio with me today, and I'm going to ask one of them to smile. You're on candid camera. All right, we have with us in the studio today, Miss Renee Morris and Miss Linda Burt, and we're going to have a conversation about Juneteenth. It is here. We're finally getting ready to have this question, this answer to the question. Rob, I don't hear myself in my headphones. Hopefully the board can hear me. Thank you very much. All right, so we are going to be here, and Elaine Cook says, hello, Queens.
She gives you a greeting all the way from Arizona. All right, y'all big time. International. But we have with us these two wonderful women who are with us today, really to talk about something that is very important. And really, if you are a part of the ADOS, African descendants of slaves, if you are a person of color, if you are Hispanic, if whatever it is, if you've ever experienced any type of bondage in this country, you need to be a part of this conversation, because it's not just for African descendants of slaves. And the reason I say that, because the tools that we use to purchase and to gain freedoms are the same tools that you have used. And so we have often set the standard, the way, and paved the way for many other groups, genders, and gender identities to really receive freedoms that we now consider American rights, right? Mm-hmm. So, ladies, good evening. Say hello to our Straight Talk audience.
Hello.
Come on now, ladies. Now they did hello. You did that like my grandmother, Miss Bird.
You don't want my skate car. It's real loud.
All right, but I have these wonderful women. I certainly love it, and I'm not sure how our coming together even began. It seems like light years, but I think that I got an inbox from you, Miss Morris.
Yes, you did.
And you began to telling me, hey, I need some help with this Juneteenth celebration. Why don't you let's start by talking about Juneteenth, because what I want to happen, and I'm hoping that those who are listening, see, we talk about what it means to be black and I'm proud and all of these things. This is really, in a very long time, one of the few things that celebrates our history like nothing else ever has. Yes, why don't we share a little bit about what is Juneteenth?
Juneteenth is a celebration, a jubilee celebration of all of our history, not just the general's rule of that day, but since 1865 until last year, they've been, it's
celebrating.
Yes.
And so when we look at this, and for those of you who are not necessarily informed on what took place, and before we get to that, before I give you the Juneteenth celebration, I'm going to tell you where. No, let's go with the history, and I'll come back, because if I get carried up and I start talking about roadblocks and people who did not want, y'all know I go a whole different direction. Yeah. So let's stick to the history. Stick to the history, Kareem Bowen. Stick to the history. Straight talk later, right? All right. So when we look at Juneteenth, we're talking about June 19th, and that date, 1965, was when President Abraham Lincoln, he officially signed. What's going on?
In 1865, when the slaves in Galveston, Texas.
I'm sorry, 1863. Thank you. I'm glad you know your history. 1863, January of 1863. Right. Look, don't be correcting me on the radio. I got this. No, but you're absolutely right. We want to make sure we give this correct information. And I was sharing with you guys a number of months ago about how I wanted to make sure we really celebrated this, because many of you grew up in black churches, especially Pentecostal churches, and you celebrated something that was called watch night service. Yes. And it's like cooking that turkey in that 18-inch pan. You just do it because that's the way grandmama did it and her mama did it. But the reality of it is that is where we began to institute in churches this idea of watch night services, because December 31st, 1862, everyone was in anticipation that the president was going to say on the next day, hey, he had signed the Emancipation Proclamation. So everyone was waiting with anticipation. So in January of 1863, we saw our President Abe Lincoln sign the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing and abolishing slavery in the United States. We get that right?
Yes.
All right. So I got my history checkers that are in the house right now. And the reason why we're looking at the date of June 16th is because many blacks did not know that they were free at that time. So you had a lot of southern states, and in Texas, where the first celebration of the Juneteenth celebration in Galveston, Texas, took place. Many blacks were still working on those crops because those farmers wanted to make sure that they got that free labor to get those plants, those cotton and tobacco and sugar cane in. You understand what I'm saying? So they did not. This is how cruel people can be. They did not allow these people to know that they were French. So the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment, when we look at the Reconstruction of America,
were the key pieces that have made us free. One gave us freedom, the other gave us citizenship, and others gave us the right to vote and other things, right? So when we look at this, on the 19th of June, 1865, I always want to say 19, but that was too soon. 1865, the words of that edict were read by the general who rode into town, General Gordon Granger, who came in and read the decree to those slaves. Hey, y'all still working, but we's free now. All right. So that celebration has been going on in Galveston, Texas, and all over in other countries and in other states. And it's been going and spreading. And as Black people, we don't understand our history. And so there are many people out there that are listening that they didn't know what Juneteenth was until our white president signs it in by executive order that this is going to be a national holiday. How sad is that? So when you think about it, what was the reason? Because this is the first year that we're coming into that we're able to celebrate this as a national holiday. So ladies, why was this so important to you?
Oh, that we educate our people what it's about and get excited about it and celebrate it. This is the first national holiday that is ours. So that's why we wanted to do it.
She said this is the first national holiday that is what about Independence Day? The 4th of July coming up in 4th. Why can't you Black people? Why can't you Black people just have the same, enjoy the same holidays? I'm playing devil's advocate now. Enjoy the same holidays that everybody else has. You're not in Africa, you're in America, and the 4th of July is when we celebrate Independence Day. Why can't you get with that?
Well, you seen the T-shirts that said no Independence Day, Juneteenth? That's our Independence Day.
Okay, but why do I always have to have, we have, this, it's got to be the Black this. We have this, it's got to be the Black this.
It's way overdue.
Why do you think it's overdue? And why should people celebrate Juneteenth over the 4th of July?
Well, because like you said earlier, Juneteenth also encompasses everyone. Every battle that's going on for 200 something years?
Yes.
Of freedom for whether you're Mexican or whatever. Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, ain't nobody free till we all free.
That's right.
So let all of America celebrate Juneteenth. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because Independence Day, when we think about this, and those of you who are listening, and you're absolutely right. Somebody said, Marva Lynn, I hear you got it is snatching the covers off a whole lot of things. We put it all out there. Elaine Cook, it's our independence. But when we look at this, we celebrate the 4th of July. This nation has celebrated the 4th of July because it was our independence, so to speak, their independence, I shouldn't say ours, their independence from Great Britain, from the aristocrats, those individuals who were in power, no longer oppression, and they had freedom of religion and all those things that were the ideas coming into this new world. And so when they get to this new world, the colonizers, as we will call them, became, they were free. So they were like, we can do these things, rights to, pursuit of happiness, liberties, and all of these things. But those things were not given to every citizen that was in this new world. And so as we look through the years, and I always tell people, who come in, because I'll tell you what I always hear, well, blacks weren't the only people who were slaves. My family were from Ireland. My family were immigrants from Great Britain and everything. But there was no slavery like the slavery that existed in the United States. It was chattel slavery, where people were bought and sold as property. This is not indentured servant status. That is a whole different category of slavery. They shouldn't even be able to bear the same names. Absolutely, separating families intentionally to keep people down, right? And so when we celebrate Juneteenth, that is when all Americans became free. And, in the words of Martin Luther King, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so when we think about Independence Day, honestly, it's the only one where all Americans were free. Everybody else has had freedom at that point, and Juneteenth set the record straight. So as we begin to think about, because y'all know I will go on forever as to why we need to celebrate this thing, but as we look for this, Sister Morris and Miss Burt, as we look at this and we look at the celebration of this holiday coming, what should people expect? Tell us about what you have going on, because I'm going to tell you, people always tell me that I'm a big dreamer and I think big.
Me too.
And they say, I tell people I have a hard time thinking small. And, they tell people, don't get involved with Kareem unless you expected to do something big. And you came and you made me nervous with your big thinking. I've never been in that situation before. But I want you to say, Ms. Morris, why don't you share with the people what's going on and how they can get involved? Because it really will take a village. It'll take our entire community to celebrate this thing the way we need to.
Yes. Friday night is the kickoff with the Miss Juneteenth pageant, the first one for Saginaw. Miss Juneteenth has been a part of the Juneteenth celebration in all states. It's a national pageant that we have connected with, and that will take place on that Friday, the 17th at 5 o'clock at the Horizon Center. Saturday, the Freedom Parade.
The Freedom Parade. Da, da, da. Yes.
We've never had a Freedom Parade in Saginaw.
Now, I need to understand. This isn't. She didn't name this the Juneteenth Parade.
No,
And when you said it just right now, it is the Freedom Parade.
yeah.
And I want to tell you what in my mind. Can I give you the picture I see in my mind? In my mind, when I hear Freedom Parade, I'm thinking women, especially our senior women, young women, young people dancing in the street. I'm thinking bright colors and flags and banners and dancing and music. Some of that Creole music that we used to enjoy, Rob, I got Rob's attention. Some of that Creole music that we used to enjoy, just dancing and celebrating down the street. One thing about our people is that we have always known how to celebrate.
Yes, we have.
And there is nothing more that we should be willing to celebrate than your freedom. So the Freedom Parade, we're talking about dance teams, we're talking about churches. If you have any attachment to the history and to the past of blacks in America, this is the reason to celebrate. So we're saying white women who married black men, celebrate his freedom, because you couldn't have had Tyrone if it wasn't for it. So this is an opportunity for all of us to come together and to celebrate. They sit here like, we need 5 minutes to pull it back together. Rob, what's on your mind? Help these women, because they sit here like, this boy is crazy.
No, I agree completely. I'm 62 years old, been around long enough to know and appreciate our culture. And I was just saying in the last show, George's show, that we celebrate bury people with honor and dignity. And one of the things that came about for Memorial Day was started by Black people because they buried the Union soldiers, something that a lot of us did not know based on Kimberly Napoleon's research. So, but we honor the dead. We honor people who respect people to dead, bury them properly, and we celebrate accordingly. That's why we have these, what they call it, after the funerals. I forget what they call it then, but after the funeral we get together and we have discussions and whatnot. Repass is what I'm looking for. And while we're still mourning, we know that okay, that's over with now. Our this loved one wants us to move on and live life. And it's no good to just stay in mourning all the time when you have ability to say, hey, I can still celebrate life until it's my turn to transition.
Absolutely. And so I think that as we look at those type of historical factors, this gives us such a reason to celebrate. So on Friday, we are doing the pageant. And that pageant starts at what time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock p.m. And you have been working, as I understand, you have been working with the entrants or the young women who are part of this, the contestants, excuse me. Pardon me, the contestants. You have been working with these contestants and giving them pieces of culture, taking them to various places, teaching them poise and things that are very important for our young women to hear. So what does the Juneteenth, what is her official name? The Juneteenth Queen? Pageant Queen?
Miss Juneteenth.
Miss Juneteenth. There we
There'll
go.
be a Miss Juneteenth and a little Miss Juneteenth.
So there will be a Miss Juneteenth and a little Miss Juneteenth. What does Miss Juneteenth and little Miss Juneteenth, what do they represent to you?
Our culture and our history. Their reign will start once they're picked at the pageant And that whole year will be a year of her promoting being an advocate for Juneteenth and the history.
So, and this is the thing that you need to understand about history, is that history, when we think of history, we always think about records of the past, and history is records of the past. But each of us are creating history every single day that we're here. So history is both in the history books, dead, but there is a living history that we are to embrace. And so as we begin to celebrate these types of things, we have the Juneteenth pageant queen, or Miss Juneteenth, as you say. It's important for us to understand that this is rewriting the history as we move forward. One of the most important things, and I say this so many times, for Black America, is that we've got to stop letting everyone else write the narrative.
That's right.
We've got to pick up the pen,
Right.
get a hold of the paper, and begin to write our own.
Yeah.
Who can write our story better than us?
No one.
And so, so we have the pageant queen on Juneteenth. Absolutely. And so as we look at this, Rob, thank you. You could have said this yourself.
I was going to, but you know.
Oh, go ahead. Get back there. Rob always is my fact checker, and he keeps things
I
in
was
alignment.
saying how Juneteenth is important here in Saginaw because it complements the annual Saginaw African Cultural Festival, in which I had an opportunity to MC for the last couple of years with Ralph Martin. And it was awesome. And you see the people come up there and live the African heritage right there, and it's beautiful. And so now that we have it here in Juneteenth in Saginaw, we can look forward to the following month or 2 months later in August to celebrate the Saginaw African Cultural Festival.
Already agreed, whoever she will be at the African.
I mean, we all Africans.
Awesome.
At the end of the day, come on, we have. You know, this is the thing. I'm gonna say this about y'all Black folks. I'm gonna say this. You know, I have more mature people in the audience. Don't let this deal with Rob. And now I'm seeing the real reaction of what people get. Thank you, Miss Bird. Let me clean this thing up a little bit. Let me tell you something about you colored folk. It has been said for a long time that we struggle to work together, that Black people can't work together.
Yes, we can.
I'm going to give you the narrative, because, you know, as you say, yes, we can. I say that because so many in our own community, we bear those lies. And we need to understand that all it takes is for one individual to begin to repeat the lies. Something comes up, you know, Black people can't work together. And so in our community, we have Black folks who say they love our people, love our culture, and are part of our culture, going around saying that Black people cannot work together. So when we have these opportunities, this is an opportunity. Not only, we don't have to show anybody anything, because what they recognize is that if we can start in this nation with the disadvantage that we have had, you know, we're running a 100-yard dash and we're starting at the start line and they got, 50 and 60 yards. If we can then be able to do the things that we have done, we are resilient people, okay? And so we have the ability to work together. We're better together, as a matter of fact. And so I think that when we show up and show out in these instances, it shows what real Black excellence is all about. And so I think that it's important for us. Rob, were you going to say something? I saw your eyes light up.
Black pride.
Black pride.
Yes.
I mean, come on, let's get that James Brown song dusted off the shelf. You know, he was a little crazy.
I'm Black, I'm proud, baby.
I'm Black and I'm proud. Say it loud. And y'all got me now. Y'all, look at y'all. They ain't right.
Like you mean it.
But I think that it is very important for us to understand that the world is watching. I don't care what you say. My mom told me something, and I live by those words every day. If you're going to do something, you have to be twice as good when you come in this color of skin, when you've been blessed with this much melanin in your skin, that you don't have to go out and burn, and people hate you for the color of your skin because they ain't got it. And I was always taught that you have to be twice as good. And so Black excellence for me means doing something in a way that your ancestors will remain proud about how you've done that thing. And so what I'm going to see, for those of you out there, call to action, how can they get a hold of us? We still ain't got the ending of the show as we continue to go forward. We're going to get there. We got a few minutes. She's saying, like, Mr. Bowen, please, I got you. I got you.
Important part.
Okay, I want them to feel comfortable. You know how our seniors are. They want to make sure that we do this in a very defined way. I got the old man in the corner putting up fingers. I know how much time we got here. All right, dear Madam. All right, so on Friday, we have the Juneteenth pageant with our pageant queen.
Tickets are $25.
Tickets are $25, and this will be when?
June 17th at 5 o'clock at the Horizon Conference Center.
And I was told that you are already exceeding expectations in terms of how you're doing with those ticket sales.
Yes.
So the community is showing up. So what that means is you don't want to be the only person in the community that is not there supporting your history and supporting the Juneteenth pageant
These
queen.
young girls.
What's that?
These girls from 7 to 14.
7 to 14. Poise, style, grace. Are there categories that you can share? How are they going to be judged?
They'll be judged on community service, poise, their walk. What else is it? Essay.
Oh, they had to write
They
something.
had to write an essay, and their grade points average, and their interview. They have to do an interview with the judges.
All right, that is absolutely awesome. And I heard that you are soliciting talent from near and far on bringing this together. I know who the Grand Marshal is for the parade on Saturday, and I'm extremely excited.
Yeah. Miss Carlene Gill.
Miss Carlene Gill. Now, for those of you who don't know who Miss Carlene Gill is, when I was a young man, everybody who went and got their first Jerry curl, you went and got it from Miss Carlene Gill. She used to be over there, was it Jane Street?
Yes.
On Jane Street.
First barber school.
First barber school, black barber school in the city, and she put it together, and she had all. I remember the legacy of Miss Carlene Gill. And as a young man, she was fine. As a young, we all had that little crush on her. You can't wait to be like Miss Gill. But I was so blessed. I went up north to Idlewild, and I didn't know that there was an Idlewild museum. And went in the Idlewild Museum and checked things out. And then I went to the Detroit. It's called the Detroit Yacht Club. Which, I mean, come on, we was partying and all kinds of stuff. And I saw Miss Gill's poster in there from back in the day. We was like, we got the older version of Miss Gill. She was really a looker when she was younger. And she was dressed up in her little flapper attire, and I didn't know that she was an entertainer.
Looking for someone to dress up.
And, I mean, it was absolutely amazing. And so I'm so glad. I think it is so fitting because there's so many what I would consider local celebrities in our community that don't get celebrated in the manner that they should. Now, you got to think she was doing what she was doing when y'all was also being in church on Sunday. And so it was looked at in a particular light. And we never celebrated her talent or her contribution to Black entertainment. And so, Ms. Gill, we certainly celebrate you. And I think that I was excited to know that she's going to be there. So we have Miss Juneteenth on Friday at
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock at the Horizon Conference Center. Tickets are $25. You can still get those tickets by going to
Eventbrite or calling 989-906-4259.
Okay, Eventbrite or calling 989
906-4259.
906-4259. All right, and then on Saturday we are getting up bright and early, 10 a.m. and we are having our Freedom Promenade, Freedom Parade. And we are marching down the streets of Washington Avenue. I'm not even going to talk about it. Thank you for the city folks who have. I had to help them understand how important it was for them to celebrate with us for Juneteenth, and they understood. And so they came through, and they're working with us. And we're going to make this happen. For those of you who know there's 2 shows you got to watch that are out there, we certainly celebrate you. But we're going to be doing that on that Saturday. And it is going to be a celebration of Blackness.
I'm looking forward to it.
Come out, fraternities, sororities, step groups, everyone that, if you consider yourself Black, and you play a vital role.
Class of 2020.
Yeah, get your school class, because Arthur Hill and Saginaw High are about to be things of our history. So listen, ladies, y'all can't find on air. They said, they didn't forgot to hear the radio. But those of you who are out there, Saginaw High and Arthur Hill are now really getting ready to be a part of our history. Right. So why not bring your graduating class from Saginaw High? Get your class together.
Like we used to do.
1963, 1974, 1986, whatever it is, and march with your graduating class. 76, he said. I was just being born. But
78, baby.
Taking these moments to celebrate your class, bring your Black pride. Let's make this thing happen. Then on Sunday we have, which I'm going to be a part of what's happening on that Sunday, and we're so excited about it. So why don't you tell us what's happening on Sunday, Miss Morris?
Sunday is the Father's Day Festival. Juneteenth Father's Day Festival.
Ain't no father like a black father. I said it now. And we're going to celebrate black men because black men need to be celebrated. You know, I had an opportunity to work with President Obama's White House, and we were trying to encourage fathers to be better fathers. It's so important for us to celebrate black men because every black man is not locked up. Every black man is not a deadbeat. Every black man is not incarcerated. There are some, and some of them have been incarcerated, got out, and have become better fathers. So it's important for us, if we want to see something different, we've got to do something different. And so Juneteenth, actually, which is the day, we're going to celebrate black fathers.
Yes.
And the reason why this is important is because at the center of everything that happened in this nation in terms of slavery, the center of their ire and their disdain was that black family. And the head of that black family was that black man. And so they would do certain things to our black men to break those men down, to cause those men to feel like they were less than men, to take away their wives, sleep with their wives, create whole families, and then give them their wives back. To say, you know, what we had to go through as black men. And I thank you, black women, for taking this moment to celebrate black men. And it's going to be so important. So we want all you black fathers, churches, don't get sedity and high religious now. This is Father's Day. It is a Sunday. But we want all of the churches to come out and support. We know we have Pastor Coleman. There's other pastors that are going to be involved. What else is happening on that celebration Sunday?
We'll be honoring Carl Williams for being the first Afro-American representative for our area.
Okay.
And we'll be honoring Wilma Ham for being the first mayor.
And there will be a what do you call it when they not an edict, but when the city, there will be a number of presentations from city and state folks.
A
Declaration.
from the state and from the county and hopefully from the city.
Our city mayor is 100% behind this. Trust me. We've been working back lines and alleys to get things happening. And so I want to thank you, Brenda Moore,
Thank you.
for helping. You know, some people may feel a certain kind of way, but I'm telling you, she's working back channels and making things happen. Rob, I got you too. Where this is going to take place, this is all happening right downtown.
Morley Plaza.
Morley Plaza.
11 o'clock, there's a free bike helmet giveaway for 50 kids. First come, first serve. Then at 12 o'clock, there's a 3-on-3 boys and girls basketball tournament. Then at 1 o'clock, 1 to 6 is the program.
So we're going to be out there celebrating. We're going to read that portion of the proclamation that set free black slaves. So we're excited. Hopefully that you're excited. Let's get in here. Let's have a great time together. We're going to be doing that march from St. Mary's parking lot down to Morley Plaza. It is going to be an amazing time. Now, let me tell you what's significant about that, because during the George Floyd marches and protests, I led a group of 300 black men from St. Mary's to Morley Plaza. And now here, just 3 years later, we're leading a community of people, black folk, celebrating freedoms from that same location down to Morley Plaza. You don't want to miss it. There will be food vendors. There'll be all types of celebration. They're going to be there. Come on. All you got to do is nothing. They're going to pull their food trucks in. So we're going to have a great time. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Once again, they can check out Miss Brenda Moore. She's on social media. There is a Facebook page for Juneteenth. Let's make this happen. Saginaw. It's time for us to rise up. And I always want to say that we can change anything that we can have a conversation about. God bless you all. Grace and peace.
Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1. The views and opinions expressed.
I can hear Kareem.
Huh? Oh.